As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases. This podcast is supported by its listeners. If you choose to purchase something using links on our website, we may earn a commission. No books were warped, dog-eared, underlined with purple pen, eaten, cursed, cancelled, burned, or otherwise harmed in the making of this podcast. I'm Tom Tolkien, and this is the School Reading List, a podcast that recommends books you'll want your children to read and books you'll wish you'd read as a child. And to kick off episode 44 of the School Reading List podcast, let's rip open some book post. Hell to Pay by Lora Beth Johnson. After her parents disappear and her brother dies, teenage con artist Elle Fields is pulled into a dangerous supernatural job, stealing a soul from the afterlife. For 14-plus-year-old readers, this exhilarating and unique supernatural young adult fantasy heist offers magic, secrets, a scattered crew of friends brought back together, and a perilous mission that keeps shifting as Elle looks for a way to recover what she's lost. But all is definitely not as it seems. It's a brilliant, fast-paced read to keep teens engaged. Highly recommended. Beacons of Light, A Journey Through the World of Lighthouses by Jenna Koomen. From early fires on shorelines to modern powerful lamps, lighthouses are explored through their design, purpose and place in human history. In this stunning narrative non-fiction large format hardback, 4 to 8-year-olds can learn how these coastal towers have helped travellers to find safety, with accessible examples from around the world and Gemma Koomen's fascinatingly detailed illustrations bringing architecture, engineering and seafaring history into a gloriously enticing and colourful format. It's an outstanding book for Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 school libraries. The First Works of Shakespeare by Adam Thompson. 6 famous Shakespeare plays are introduced in their simplest form, with short scene descriptions, first words from the plays, and Erica Harrison's vibrant and bright board book illustrations. For very young readers, it offers an accessible and engaging first look at Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and other familiar stories. Highly recommended. Ziggy the Caterpillar's Zigzag Adventure by Beatrice Simpkiss. Ziggy the Caterpillar cannot sit still. Hopping between leaves and zigzagging up die-cut branches, she meets new friends along the way, with ADHD and neurodivergent talking points built into vibrant illustrations. But rather than treating restlessness negatively, this inspirational large-format hardback picture book for 0 to 5-year-olds uses Ziggy's journey to sensitively explore patience, mindfulness and difference. Fascinatingly bright illustrations support a gentle story of self-discovery and change. It's ideal to share with nursery and EYFS children. Small Stanley's Big List of Scary Stuff by Angie Morgan. Stanley wants to be brave, but spiders, dogs, the dark, and a growing list of worries keep causing him to be nervous. 3-plus-year-olds will appreciate this reassuring picture book story in which a wild wind blows Stanley's list away, leaving him free to talk about fears, worries, and finding the confidence to play with friends again. A wonderfully illustrated book to use to discuss worries and resilience in EYFS settings. The Sound of a Smile by Louise Greig and David Litchfield. A girl who cannot hear the noisy world discovers intricate sounds hidden between a song's notes, a wing's beats, and the quiet spaces other people miss. For 3-plus-year-olds, this mesmerising and moving picture book explores deafness, friendship, and communication through Louise Greig's lyrical text and David Litchfield's warm, expressive illustrations. Highly recommended. Duck delivers cake by Tinn-Disbury. A very tall, very special cake has to reach a party before sunset, but Duck's trusty scooter may not be up to the job. Bright, funny and perfect for 3+-year-olds, the second Duck Delivers adventure turns a simple delivery into a chain of mishaps, vehicle swaps and resilient problem-solving as Duck desperately tries to keep his Feather Force reputation in one piece. Captain Sunshine by Alex Milway. Bella Day is the new captain of the cruise ship Sunshine, carrying penguins, rhinos, giraffes and parrots. Around Bella is a crew that includes Mr. Tartu, the sea dog first mate, Mrs. Purpot, the cat who handles passengers, and Flip and Flap, twin penguins on entertainment duty. Set in the world of Hotel Flamingo, the book is fully illustrated in 2 colours and draws on Art Deco poster styles, with a map linking the ship to the hotel. Captain Sunshine is the perfect, lively, fun, short chapter book series for newly independent 5+-year-olds. Cats, Cats, Cats by Susan Martineau, illustrated by Vicky Barker. Domestic cats, kittens, lion prides, leaping leopards and speedy cheetahs all pad through this lively and accessible nature investigator hardback. 5+-year-old feline fans can explore where cats live, how pet cats communicate, and which big cat is the biggest, with Susan Martineau's absorbing fact-led text and Vicky Barker's bright illustrations keeping the information clear, punchy and perfect to dip into. Highly recommended for Key Stage 1. The Wood Where Stories Sing by Andy Shepherd, illustrated by Ellie Snowdon. Wild Top Wood, the magical adventure playground at the bottom of Iggy and Cal's garden, is full of whispering trees, wooden animals and a secret canopy den. Younger Key Stage 2 readers can step into this enchanting and absorbing fantasy adventure, where Iggy, Cal and May must use their imaginations to protect the wood's wild green magic and help it sing again. Accessible, mesmerising and magical, The Wood Where Stories Sing is highly recommended for class reading in lower Key Stage 2. They Sent a Cat to Saturn by Valerie Bloom, illustrated by Ken Wilson Max. A cat in a spacesuit on a ship called Hooray opens this vibrant and exciting poetry collection full of playfulness, empathy and wordplay. For Key Stage 2 children, the poems include Jamaican haiku, puzzles, riddles, dinosaurs, a lost cat, a hero dad and a papa cooking, making this a lively and accessible collection for classroom sharing, performance and dipping into at home. Highly recommended. Weather Camera Action by Liam Dutton and Giordano Poloni. This globe-trotting tour of extreme weather takes 7+-year-old readers from planetary jet streams and hurricanes to monsoons, dust storms and volcanic lightning. Channel 4 meteorologist Liam Dutton explores the science through clear examples and vibrant and accessible illustrations, making this a useful STEM non-fiction choice for Key Stage 2. Diary of a Number 1 Superfan by Pamela Butchart, illustrated by Gemma Correll. Gemma is about to see Taylor Swift in concert, so every fact, worry and burst of excitement goes into her diary. For 8+-year-olds, this pop legends series opener blends a funny school and friendship story with conversation-worthy facts about Taylor Swift's music, records and cats, all while Gemma aims to become a songwriter herself. It's great fun. The Summer My Wishes Came True by Radhika Sanghani. Summer camp should mean 2 brilliant weeks with Nikki, but Aisha's best friend seems different, and one overheard insult leaves her wishing her life would change. For 9 to 12-year-olds, this energetic summer camp story blends friendship worries with a light-hearted magical twist. As Aisha's wishes start coming true, from pizza for lunch to a coveted part in the camp musical, she's forced to work out what happiness really costs. It's a great choice for Key Stage 2 book clubs. The Silver Dwarf by Victor Kloss. Ben's double life at the Royal Institute of Magic grows more dangerous when the search for Elizabeth's armour leads to a magical key in the legend of the Silver Dwarf. The fourth in the popular Royal Institute of Magic fantasy series sees the return of dark elves, the unseen kingdoms, as friendships are severely tested by Ben's role as a guardian. Highly immersive. The Horse Dreamer by Holly Surplice. A mysterious horse arrives in a storm just as Merrin is struggling with the loss of her father. For readers aged 9 and upwards, Merrin's friendship with the dreamlike sorrel offers a gentle animal story about grief, family and healing, with the author's own illustrations adding to the book's distinctive wintry atmosphere. Highly recommended. How to Steal the Future by Christopher Edge. When 12-year-old Drew Blake enters a guarded maze that keeps shifting under his feet, he knows it's hiding a secret known as the Avenir, which can control his future. Others have tried to steal it before him, including his sister Evie, who never returned. With routes changing, traps closing in, and hidden rules shaping every move, Drew is racing to find Evie and save his future before time runs out. Mind-bendingly good fun, How to Steal the Future blends cutting-edge science with a rollercoaster plot. Highly recommended for Upper Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. Elfie's Spellbook by Christoph Arlston and Audrey Allwitz, illustrated by Mina Ludvin, translated by Anam Zafar. After their mother's death, Elfie and her sister Magda are rescued from a dull home with their aunt by their older sister Louette and her travelling bookshop bus. This cosy graphic novel for 9 to 12-year-olds follows Elfie across France as she discovers her inherited notebook is really a witch's spell book and that her stories can bring magic to life. It's a charming and bewitching graphic novel series for Upper Key Stage 2. Evie in Venice by Bruna De Luca. When 17-year-old self-taught artist Evie travels to Venice for an art exchange, her parents mistakenly think she's safely on a science trip. For 12-plus-year-olds, this addictive summer romance story blends art, family deception, an online crush, and an awkward creative partnership with Leonardo, the host family's son, against a summer setting of museums, canals, and carnival colour. It's perfect holiday reading for teens. Augusta Pine Does Not Exist by Emily Lloyd-Jones. In a near-future world where biometric tattoos have replaced paper ID, Augusta Pine works as a government wraith, an operative who officially doesn't exist. After a hacking accident at 15, she chose undercover service over prison. Now 18, she expects a rare weekend off, only for her apartment block to be taken over by cybercriminals. Using her hacking skills and help from her handler, Prefect and AI Edgar, can Augusta free the trapped residents? It's a distinctively cool and fast-paced thriller that 12-plus-year-olds will devour. Highly recommended for Key Stage 3 libraries. Local Gods by Melinda Salisbury. When an FBI raid exposes her father's double life, Sylvie Singer becomes a target in Pine Ridge Hollow and heads for a disused station in the West Woods, where carnivorous deer roam. There she meets Illican, the horned god bound to the forest, who warns that disaster is coming. With the town turning against her, Sylvie must decide whether to help the people who've cast her out. Sylvie is a memorable character filled with resentments, and readers will be desperate to know what she does with it in this stunning YA folk horror tale that will keep teens gripped from start to finish. Blood of Gods and Girls by Katja Kane. Marked for sacrifice as the mortal goddess, Nisha managed to escape the temple on her 12th birthday. But now the kingdom is looking for another girl, and its attention has fallen on Ratna, the only family Nisha has left. For 12-plus-year-olds, this fierce feminist romantasy brings together divine power, rebellion, and a dangerous bond with a golden eagle warrior. Beguiling, exciting and unexpected, this stunning debut is perfect summer reading for teens. Highly recommended. Where Lost Girls Go by Cody Keplinger. A cabin in the Kentucky mountains offers 5 girls new names, sisterhood and the protection of Sol, the man who claims he saved them. For 14-plus-year-olds who can handle darker and more thought-provoking young adult material, Cody Keplinger's atmospheric thriller follows Iris as the arrival of a new girl, Rose, makes her question the loyalty tests, buried secrets and shifting power that lies inside this isolated refuse. It's ideal for Key Stage 4 book clubs. Heled's Song by Fiona Collins. 14-year-old Seren lives with her Nain in contemporary northeast Wales after the death of her mother and struggles with grief and bullying at school. In her dream, she meets Heled, a girl from 7th century kingdom of Penguin, living in the aftermath of a Mercian war. This stunning magic-tinged mythical novel for 14-plus-year-olds draws on Canu Heled and Welsh literary tradition to explore loss, survival and the stories that help people endure. Highly recommended. Thornbird by E. Kennedy. 10 years after her father is caught for a series of murders, Ryan Shipley returns to Starling, Tennessee, with a new name and new identity at a new boarding school. Living with her aunt's family, she tries to keep the past buried, but when a classmate's podcast and online forum drag the case back into view, she's forced to confront the past. As mysterious texts arrive and an earth-shattering note appears, pressure builds around what happened then and what Ryan might know now. A deliciously chilling and fast-paced, twisty crime thriller for 14-plus-year-olds. Highly recommended. Ooh. 7 Deadly Thorns by Amber Hamilton. Viola Sinclair faces execution for using outlawed magic. Rose Rocklart, the prince ordered to kill her, must do so within a week or die himself. With few options, they strike a deal and start digging into the secrets their kingdom would rather keep buried. The story weaves in fantasy and romance with shifting loyalties, hidden groups and tense rivalries, while also touching on power, punishment and trust. None of it easy and none of it clear-cut. A blazing debut romantasy for 15-plus-year-old fans of Holly Black and Lauren Roberts, now available in paperback. Highly recommended. Ooh. Thank you to all the publishers and publicists for sending us books to review here on this podcast and on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. Here's our rundown of great new children's books hitting the shelves this August. A House Made of Books by Frankie Gritton. The Handbook of Forgotten Skills Outdoors by Iron Taz. Myths of Japan by Masoko Carey. Body by D.K. I Am Going to Jump This Log by Stephanie Stansby. Elementals, P.O. Saves the Trees by Love Sager. We Became Wild by H.D. Carver. Thorn by A.F. Harold. War by Owen Colfer and Andrew Donkin. Aviarium by Dominic Cousins, illustrated by Tegan White. Then We'll Be Happy by Alan Carrigan. The Waking Wood by Alexi Francis. Princess Apparently by Siren Knight. My Bayeux Tapestry by Oliver Lattic. Neverlast by Sue H. Cunningham. The Flying Machine of Dreams by Kate Wakeling. Bison Rule, OK, by Sarah Zimmern. The Green Child by Holly Hughes. The Sign of the Raven by Pippa Dunn. A History of the City by Leo Hollis. No Tune Ned by Oliver Lendon. The Weirdest Thing of All by Michael Rosen, illustrated by Ed Beer. The Never Fear by Catherine Rundell. Cut Him Out into Little Stars by Lucy Strange. Jamal, Target, Bantam, Agent by Isaac Hamilton Mackenzie. Traitor's Nest by Francis Harding. All the Queen's Curses by Alicia Hollingsworth. Natural Selection by Claire Edge. Revolution by Dr. Joan Lennon. Into the Dark Adventures of Nighttime Animals by Saskia Gwynn. Spindlewood by Freddie Kolch. And our picture book of the month is The Waking Wood by Lexi Francis. Our non-fiction book of the month is Aviarium by Tegan White and Dominic Cousins. And our fiction book of the month is Traitor's Nest by Francis Harding. On your bookmarks, typeset, turn the page. If you're a teacher, librarian or avid bookworm who loves children's or YA books and you'd like to review brand new titles for the school reading list, get in touch by email. We'd love to hear from you. The address is reviews@schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And here are a few titles from our new and most popular list over the last month. Books to read in detentions. La 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 by Kate D. Camillo, illustrated by Jamie Kim. When a little girl sings into the world, she hopes someone will answer, and her search takes her from trees, water and reeds into the darkness towards the moon. This mesmerising, nearly wordless picture book for 4 to 8-year-olds is a warm, open-ended story about loneliness, courage and being heard, bolstered by Jamie Kim's soft, expressive narrative illustrations. Excellent Excuses and Other Good Stuff by Liz Pitchen. Homework, doodles, family distractions and Tom Gates's endless attempts to explain himself keep this second diary-style adventure moving at speed. The mix of handwritten jokes, cartoons and school life mishaps works especially well with 9 to 14-year-olds who enjoy highly visual fiction and an engaging narrator who turns everyday embarrassment into comedy. Homework on Pluto by Lou Treleaven. Holiday to Pluto sounds like a fair reward after saving an entire planet, but John's break is soon interrupted by homework from Earth, mad grands and handbag-stealing blue-headed squitches. Told with the playful energy of the Pen Pals on Pluto series, this junior fiction sequel is a fun pick for 7 to 9-year-olds who like letters, space silliness and short, highly accessible chapters. No Breathing in Class by Michael Rosen, illustrated by Corky Paul. School rules, friends and classroom absurdities become poems children can enjoy aloud, helped by Corky Paul's lively full-colour illustrations. For readers aged 7 to 9, the short pieces and sharp comic timing make this a laugh-out-loud poetry choice, especially for classrooms looking for engaging performance pieces with relatable playground and lesson time situations. Highly recommended. The Wrong Shoes by Tom Percival. Will knows his shoes are wrong before anyone says it. The wrong shoes, the wrong coat, the wrong feeling of standing out at school. As home pressures and classroom judgment close in, friendship and art begin to offer him a way to be seen differently. It's a compassionate, timely novel for 9-plus-year-old readers which explores themes of poverty, empathy and belonging. Highly recommended. And here are some great detention books for teens. The Phone Book by Jessica Spear, illustrated by Leslie Imgart. Smartphone habits, online choices and digital well-being are treated as things young people can learn how to handle rather than abstract dangers. Written for 8 to 13-year-olds, this practical guide uses short explanations, prompts and real teen experiences to help readers think about privacy, kindness, screen time and the powerful devices in their hands. My Hair is Pink Under This Veil by Rabina Khan. A sharply observed memoir looks at modern Britain through Rabina Khan's experiences as a hijab-wearing Muslim woman, from her family's life in 1970s London to questions of racism, politics, feminism and identity. More mature teen readers will encounter a powerful, personal and often sharp account of prejudice, self-belief and public life. Stuff That Sucks. Worry, sadness, shame and anger are tackled with a brisk, no-nonsense approach that will appeal to readers who like practical and relatable self-help. For 12 to 18-year-olds, this short guide introduces acceptance and commitment therapy through simple explanations, cartoons and practical mindfulness ideas. Stop in the Name of Pants by Louise Renison. Georgia Nicholson has finally won over Massimo, but the sudden return of Dave the Laugh makes romance feel gloriously, disastrously complicated again. An energetic teen read, this 9th Confessions of Georgia Nicholson diary entry is all about boy drama, friendship chaos, family mayhem and comic teenage anxiety. Blame My Brain by Nicola Morgan. Teenage mood swings, risk-taking, sleep patterns and screen habits are explained through the science of the developing brain, rather than blamed on bad attitude. Aimed at 10 to 25-year-olds, this accessible non-fiction guide is useful for young people and adults who want clear explanations of emotions, mental health, social media, and why adolescence can feel so intense. Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne. Evie is desperate to be normal again, go to college, make friends, maybe kiss someone, and keep her OCD from taking over. The Spinster Club series opener balances friendship, relapse and recovery with striking honesty, making it a thoughtful pick where teen readers want a funny contemporary voice. This Is Not a Book by Kerry Smith. Secret messages, improvised sounds, public notes and offbeat assignments invite readers to treat the book as an object to use, alter, test and complete. This playful, creative prompt book works well for teen pupils who enjoy art, journaling, rule-bending tasks, and the idea that a page can become much more than something to read. Immortal Consequences by I.V. Marie. At Blackwood Academy, dead teenagers are trapped in a purgatory school where the decennial festival offers a dangerous chance to change their fate. This dark academia fantasy brings together Ren, August, Emilio, Olivier, Irene and Masika in magical trials, faction politics and a twisty mystery tied to shadow magic. It's for Your Own Good by Kate Francis. Liv Walker is taken from her bedroom in the night and delivered to Camp Smiling Skies, where her own family waves goodbye. This memorable thriller turns the idea of a wilderness therapy camp for troubled teens into a locked-in nightmare of cruel counsellors, family betrayal and a murderer hiding in plain sight among the campers. Highly recommended. Here's a selection of exciting new book tasters sent to us by new and self-published children's authors this month.
Hello, my name is Thomas Heinrichs. Together with my wife, I created the Reading, Laughing, Learning series for children aged 6 to 10. In a world filled with screens, we wanted to create books that encourage curiosity, creativity, and shared family time. Each book combines beautiful illustrations with opportunities to discover details, invent stories, answer simple writing prompts, and explore fascinating topics such as dinosaurs, birds, ocean animals, flowers, fruits, vegetables, dogs, cats, and many more. Rather than simply reading a book, children become active participants, creating their own unique experience on every page. The Reading, Laughing, Learning books are available worldwide on Amazon in paperback editions. Thank you for listening and happy reading.
My name is Dougie Wheat, and I'm here today to talk to you about a fantastic children's book. Bibble Bobble Wibble Wobble, written by Terence Begner out of love for his grandson Cameron, and with the aim of improving his grandson's speech development, is filled with engaging, rhyming and tongue-twisting vocabulary. It's a short story about a wibble-wobbling Bibble Bobble who goes to school and learns that although everyone's different, he can be his happiest around everyone else. You can really feel the fun printed in the page of this book, which tells a simple yet relatable story for kids to latch onto and enjoy. With an addition of bright illustrations and colouring pages at the end, this heartfelt tale is perfect for any school reading list. They say the best books are the ones written with a touch of personality and a touch of heart. Bibble Bobble certainly has those ingredients mixed in with relatable material. Already described as a children's favourite story on Amazon reviews, this bright and beneficial read can be found for sale on Amazon and Kindle. Keep wibble wobbling.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Thomas, and my children's book is called Leo and the Dragon of Sound. What if the world felt so loud that every clang, cheer, and crash became part of a dragon-sized adventure? Leo and the Dragon of Sound is a magical picture book for children ages 5 to 10, especially little listeners who experience sound sensitivities, sensory overwhelm, or use tools like ear defenders or headphones. This story follows Leo, a young knight who hears the world more loudly than others. When he faces a dragon made of sound, he discovers that needing support does not make him weak. It makes him brave in his own way. This book is a warm read for families, classrooms, libraries, and anyone looking for a story about empathy, kindness, neurodiversity, and helping children feel understood. Leo and the Dragon of Sound will be available July 1st through Amazon and ukbookshop.org and most bookstores. Thank you for listening.
If you'd like to get in touch and leave a recorded shout-out about your upcoming self-published children's book, have a look at our podcast webpage for more details. Reading for pleasure should be reading without surveillance, monitoring, or comparison. Picture the children arriving at their first football lesson, already knowing the pleasure of kicking a ball around in the garden or at the park. They may not understand every rule, but the game already feels like it's theirs. Then picture the child whose very first kick takes place in front of a class, where it's immediately obvious who is faster, stronger, and more experienced. Reading in schools can create much the same divide. For some children, school is the first place where they encounter a substantial and varied collection of books. That makes schools indispensable, but the problem begins when discovery arrives hand in hand with comparison. A book ban that everybody can recognise, a public progress chart, a quiz total, a reading log that must be signed, or the nagging feeling that everyone else became a proper reader years ago. The Education Committee's Reading for Pleasure report, published on 17th of July 2026, gets a great deal right about the national picture. It calls for a national reading guarantee from birth to 18, sustained action beyond the National Year of Reading, stronger school and public libraries, better professional development, a wider choice of text, and more space for enjoyment, identity and engagement. Crucially, it also says that reading should no longer be driven mainly by assessment. The awkward question comes next. What will those ambitions look like in practice? A guarantee needs accountability, certainly, but accountability does not have to involve building a fresh scoreboard for children's leisure reading. The latest National Literacy Trust survey gives some grounds for cautious optimism. It gathered responses from 125,375 children and young people aged 5 to 18. Among 8 to 18-year-olds, reading enjoyment rose from 32.7% in 2025 to 36.1% in 2026, the first increase since 2021. Daily reading in free time also climbed from 18.7% to 20.3%. That's welcome, but nobody should start hanging out the bunting just yet. The recovery remains modest, enjoyment among 5 to 8-year-olds slipped slightly, and socio-economic gaps became wider. Research from Book Trust makes the early years picture even more pressing. Its National Family Survey of 3,508 parents and carers found that the proportion of children reported to love reading fell from 55% at age 4 to 44% at age 5. Daily shared reading dropped from 55% to 47% over the same period. None of this proves that school phonics or assessment causes the decline. Starting school changes family life in all sorts of ways. Children are more tired, routines shift, homework and activities compete for attention, and screens are always lurking nearby. Even so, the figures suggest that starting school is a delicate moment, one where reading can quietly change its meaning. A shared story that once stood for closeness, silliness, or curiosity may begin to feel like evidence that has to be produced. The answer is not weaker reading instruction. Decoding, fluency, and comprehension need thoughtful, skilled teaching. Difficulties should be identified early, handled confidentially, and followed by support that actually helps. Assessment earns its place when it changes what an adult teaches or what help a child receives. It becomes corrosive when it starts assigning status, especially when levels are visible, groups seem permanent, reading ages are discussed within earshot, or appealing age-respectful books look like just prizes reserved for children who are already fluent. Schools therefore need two connected but clearly different lanes. One is reading instruction, assessment and diagnostic support. The other is reading life, listening to stories, browsing, rereading, laughing, chatting, choosing, abandoning a book, changing one's mind, and occasionally keeping a reading experience entirely private. Teach the skill properly, but take the status contest out of it. This distinction matters because children do not have to decode independently before they can belong to a reading community. A child can love an audiobook, follow a story through its illustrations, join a class read aloud, explore a comic, or become fascinated by information that sits beyond their current reading level. Competence can strengthen motivation, of course, but confidence, relevance, and a sense of belonging can also persuade a pupil to keep going. We do not need to choose between teaching children to read and giving them a reason to want to. The committee's own pupil evidence shows how easily a celebration of reading can turn into a ranking exercise. One group planned to nominate the pupil who was best at reading and display their photograph in the library. The intention was kind. The message received by everyone else might be rather different. Points, badges, and certificates are not inherently harmful. Plenty of children enjoy collecting them. What matters is how the system works. Is the goal voluntary? Do listening and rereading count? Can a pupil take part without their results being displayed? Are slower readers being compared with classmates who can race through several books in the same time? A challenge chosen by the reader is not the same thing as a target imposed through a school dashboard. The same judgment should guide the use of digital reading. A written evidence submission from e-libraries for schools makes a constructive case for wider digital access, easier public library registration, and greater investment in children's literature expertise. Alongside these proposals, however, it recommends automatic reading records, a unique reading ID that follows each pupil through the school, central analysis of reading activity, and quantitative targets. Those ideas are not committee policy, they come from one stakeholder submission, but they raise an important question that shouldn't be brushed aside. Does an activity still feel voluntary when every download, borrowing choice, and abandoned title can become part of a permanent institutional record? Digital libraries can make a real difference for pupils who cannot easily visit a public library, or who need larger text, benefit from audio support, or who have few books at home. Schools should make full use of them. At the same time, they should follow the basic principles of data minimization, set clear retention periods, and place strict limits on profiling, ranking, and any secondary use of children's information. A child ought to be able to try a book, dislike it, and move on, without wondering what a system will make of that decision. The strongest form of accountability would measure whether the guarantee exists, not whether an individual child appears to be enjoying it enough. Government should know whether every school has a functioning library or equivalent provision, trained staff, reliable opening hours, current stock, accessible formats, a proper refresh budget, and meaningful pupil influence over purchasing. Anonymous surveys can ask whether pupils feel comfortable, represented, and able to find something that interests them. What government doesn't need is a National League table of individual leisure reading. That principle leads to some straightforward changes in school. During a protected reading for pleasure period, public charts, compulsory reviews, page targets, and instant comprehension tasks should be put aside. Pupils can reread, browse, listen, change books, look at pictures, choose magazines or graphic novels, join a conversation, or simply read quietly. Informal book talk still has an important place. The Open University describes it as reader-to-reader discussion in safe, non-assessed settings, which is a good deal closer to how enthusiastic adult readers actually behave. One useful 4-week trial would be to protect a single weekly reading period from visible comparison, while continuing all required phonics, screening, teaching and intervention at other times. Afterwards, ask 3 anonymous questions. Did you find something you wanted to read or hear? Did you feel comfortable? And what would make the next session better? The useful evidence will concern access, missing formats and obstacles in the environment, not named totals of pages, minutes or completed books. Libraries need people as well as shelves. The School Library Association estimates that around 484 secondary schools have no library and says the government's £5 million secondary book fund amounts to roughly £1,450 per school, or only about 200 books. The committee confirms that the money cannot be used for textbooks or GCSE set texts. That restriction makes sense, but it also reveals a separate funding problem. A more varied English curriculum will require class texts, accessible editions, audio licenses, planning time, staff development and sensible lead times. Set text reform needs its own budget rather than quietly swallowing the money intended for school libraries. The National Year of Reading's invitation, whatever you're into, read into it, is a strong place to begin. Football, gaming, fashion, machinery, music, manga, recipes and religious texts can all provide a way in. The trouble starts when an interest-led book arrives trailed by a worksheet, a quiz score and a compulsory number of minutes. At that point, the invitation begins to look suspiciously like another assignment. School should remove the home advantage and not put it on display. A child who's never had books at home shouldn't meet books and ranking at the same time. The first message should not be, show us how good you are. It should be, there's something here for you. That small change in emphasis can reshape the whole experience. Measure whether the door is open. Don't count every step a child takes through it. Teach the skill, guarantee the access, and protect the reading for pleasure. If you'd like to get in touch, use the hashtag SRLpodcast on Twitter or drop us a line using the contact form or messaging button on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And all the books lived happily ever after. The end.